6%. That is the ceiling a federal law called the SCRA puts on the interest rate of the debt you carried into the military. Most service members never claim it. There is one short letter that unlocks it, and the catch is the law will not send that letter for you. Nobody does. You have to.
SCRA is the name. The Servicemembers Civil Relief Act, written into Title 50 of the U.S. Code. I'm Erica, and this is the law that quietly stands behind every person in uniform.
Today we go deep on the protections that matter while you serve, and exactly how to switch them on, because a right you never invoke is not protecting anything.
Hey everyone, Elena here. The cap reaches the debt that follows people in. The credit card, the car loan, the student loan you signed before basic training.
Fenrir here, and I am going to push on the word automatic, because that is where people get burned. The cap is not automatic. You can be eligible, sitting at 6% on paper, and still pay 18% every month because you never told the lender. The shield only works once you raise it.
And it is broad. Active duty across all 6 branches, the reserve called up on Title 10 orders, the guard on federal orders past 30 days. The protection travels with the service, not the branch.
Let me lay out the whole shield, because there are 6 pieces and most people only ever hear about one. The 6% rate cap and lease termination on orders. Eviction and foreclosure protection, plus your day in court. A block on default judgments. The rule that ties them together is that you have to invoke them.
And that last one is the catch the other 5 hang on. A shield in a closet stops nothing.
Elena, one viewer keeps asking the question that frames this whole episode. Read it for us.
Yes, and it is the right one. They ask, if the SCRA protects me automatically, why did my interest rate never drop?
Because automatic is the myth. Erica, take us to the protection people leave the most money on, the rate cap. That is where we start. Orders drop and you have a 12-month lease with 8 months left. Civilians eat that. You do not have to.
This is Section 3955 of the Act, and it is one of the cleanest protections in the whole law. It exists because the government moves you, so the government cannot let a landlord punish you for moving.
Permanent change of station or a deployment of 90 days or more triggers it. Those orders are your key.
But here is the trap, and it is the one that breaks cases. You have to sign the lease before those orders arrive. If you already hold the PCS orders and then sign a brand new lease, those same orders do not let you out. The law assumes you knew. Sign first, orders second, or there is no right to terminate.
Let me walk the actual sequence, because the order of these steps is the whole thing. Step 1. You deliver written notice to the landlord and attach a copy of the orders. Step 2. The lease does not end that day. It ends 30 days after your next rent payment comes due.
Auto leases end too, not just the apartment. A car lease you signed before going active ends once you are called for 180 days or more.
There is a fair is fair line here, and I will own it. No early termination fee, none. But you still owe rent up to that termination date, and you still owe real damage beyond normal wear. It is an exit, not a free pass.
Fenrir, that is exactly the right framing. The SCRA ends the contract early. It does not erase what you genuinely owe. Keep that distinction and you will never be surprised.
Nova. A lot of people ask the next question out loud, so let me hand it to you.
Sure. The question is, what if I signed the lease with my spouse and only I get orders? Does the lease still terminate for both of us?
Yes, the service member's right to terminate ends the whole lease, dependents included, because the household is moving with the orders. One set of orders releases the family.
Before we keep going, one small favor that actually moves the needle. If this is landing for you, tap like, then subscribe and turn on the bell so you do not miss the rest. 2 taps, completely free, and it pushes this in front of more people who need it.
Money is one thing. Your roof is another. The SCRA puts a judge between you and anyone trying to take your home while you serve. A landlord cannot evict you or your family from your primary residence without a court order, not a notice on the door, a judge.
and the threshold is wide on purpose. The protection applies where the monthly rent sits under a ceiling that DoD adjusts every year. For 2026, that ceiling is $10,542.60. That number started at $2,400 back in 2003. It climbs with housing inflation, which is why almost every normal lease is covered.
Congress built that judge requirement in on purpose, right here in the Capitol, when it wrote the SCRA into Title 50 of the U.S. Code. Foreclosure on a loan you took before service needs a court order during service and a full year after.
And when you do land in front of that judge, the same statute hands the judge tools. The court can pause an eviction for up to 90 days or rewrite the payment terms to fit your situation. There is a quieter protection that saves people who do not even know they are being sued. A default judgment.
Right, the one that hits while you are downrange. Someone takes you to court, you cannot appear, and you lose by default without ever knowing.
To make sure we get the legal nuance exactly right, I called in someone who lives in consumer protection and military legal assistance work. Let me get them on the line.
Happy to join. The default judgment piece is the one I wish more members knew cold, because it works silently in your favor. Before any court enters a default judgment, the person suing has to file a sworn affidavit stating whether the defendant is in military service. If you are, the court appoints an attorney to protect you and can pause the case 90 days or more.
Hold on. What stops a lender from filing a false affidavit?
Good challenge, and it is a real risk. That is exactly why a false affidavit carries criminal penalties, and why the Defense Department runs a free SCRA verification database the court and the lender can check by name and date of birth. Thanks for having me on. If you take one thing from me, it is this. Keep a copy of your orders somewhere your family can reach them, because these protections only fire when someone can hand them over.
Diane, thank you. That filled in the corner the statute language hides. Skip these and you can lose a home you never even fought for. That is how high the stakes run.
Invoking the SCRA comes down to 4 steps and 1 letter. First, let us see what that letter is actually worth.
Picture Sergeant Reyes, an E5 who entered the Army carrying an $18,000 car loan at 18% interest. That loan is pre-service, so the cap reaches it. Let me run the numbers. At 18%, that balance throws off roughly $3,240 of interest in a year. The SCRA drops the rate to 6%.
At 6%, that same balance costs about $1,080 in interest. Subtract. Reyes keeps $2,160 in the first year alone, just by sending 1 letter.
$2,000 for an envelope, so the only real question left is, what goes in the envelope?
Write the lender first, by mail or through their secure message portal, so there is a record of the date. Attach a copy of your orders, or a letter from your commander that shows your service date.
Cite the SCRA by name and request the 6% cap in writing. That sentence is what legally triggers it. Keep proof. Dated copies of everything you send so you can show exactly when the lender was notified.
Here is the honest fork. You can absolutely do this yourself. The letter is short, but there is a better path for most people, and I would point you to it.
Here is what I would actually do. Free-based legal assistance will draft the whole package and confirm your orders qualify before you send it. The lawyer is free and catches the timing traps, so the smart play for most members is to let base legal handle it.
So remember one thing above all. The SCRA is a shield you have to raise. The letter is the lift. Send it, keep the proof, and the law does the rest. Quick recap. The SCRA caps your pre-service debt at 6%, lets you break a lease on orders, and forces a judge into any eviction or foreclosure. But almost none of it happens on its own.
So tonight, pull up your oldest loan, the one you carried in. If it sits above 6% and it is pre-service, that is the letter that pays you back the most.
Next time we take on the one law most members confuse with this one. It is the Military Lending Act. Wait until you see the exact gap between them where people get caught.
If this saved you even one of those letters, hit like and subscribe so the next member in your unit finds it too. That is how this series grows.
Here is the one only you can answer. What is the interest rate on the oldest debt you carried into service, and have you ever sent that letter? Tell us below.
Exceptions are clues, not noise. Follow them. Take care.
That was tight, Nova. 9 out of 10 and a slightly threatened host. This is Professor Erica. Thanks for watching and signing off.